In the brutal battlefields of World War II, there was one sound that made the blood of Allied soldiers run cold. It wasn't the scream of a diving plane or the whistle of falling artillery. It was the deep, mechanical growl of a 54-ton steel monster. By 1943, a psychological condition began spreading among British and American tank crews. It was a paralyzing fear. They called it tiger phobia. Every rustle in the bushes, every shadow in the ruins of a French town was perceived as a tiger tank. But was this fear justified? Or was the infamous Panzerkampfwagen VI, the Tiger I, just a masterpiece of Nazi propaganda? Today, we are opening the hatch of the most legendary tank in human history. To understand the nightmare, we have to look at the engineering. In 1941, the German army was in shock. When they invaded the Soviet Union, their tanks were completely outmatched by the Russian T-34. Hitler demanded an immediate solution, a heavy breakthrough tank that could destroy anything on the battlefield from a safe distance. The company Henschel answered the call. The result was a beast completely wrapped in thick, flat, impenetrable Krupp steel. The frontal armor was 100 millimeters thick. To put that into perspective, Allied tanks like the American Sherman or the Soviet T-34 could shoot at the Tiger from point-blank range, and their shells would simply bounce off. But the armor wasn't the scariest part. The true terror was mounted in its turret. The 88mm Flak gun. Originally designed as an anti-aircraft weapon to shoot down high-flying bombers, it was modified and strapped into the Tiger. It could vaporize an enemy tank from over 2 kilometers away, long before the enemy even saw the Tiger. When the Tiger finally hit the battlefield, it changed the rules of war. A standard Sherman tank weighed around 30 tons. The Tiger weighed 54. It wasn't a fair fight, it was an execution. In the hands of elite commanders, the Tiger became an instrument of absolute destruction. Perhaps the most famous example of its terrifying capability happened at the Battle of Villers-Bocage. A single Tiger tank, commanded by Michael Wittmann, ambushed a British armored column. Within just 15 minutes, Wittmann's single Tiger destroyed up to 14 tanks and 15 transport vehicles. Stories like this created a myth. The Allies calculated that it took at least 5 Sherman tanks to take down one single Tiger. You had to sacrifice 4, just so the 5th one could maneuver behind the beast and hit its weaker rear armor. But every monster has a weakness, and the Tiger's greatest enemy wasn't the Allied army. It was its own engineering. The Germans over-engineered it. The Tiger was too heavy, too complex, and far too expensive to build. The massive Maybach engine drank fuel at an insane rate, something Nazi Germany simply did not have. Furthermore, the tank's intricate overlapping road wheels were a disaster in the freezing mud of the Russian winter. Mud would freeze solidly overnight between the wheels, completely immobilizing the tank by morning. In fact, as the war progressed, more Tiger tanks were blown up and abandoned by their own crews due to mechanical failures or lack of fuel than were actually destroyed by enemy fire. Only 1,347 Tiger tanks were ever built. Compared to the 50,000 American Shermans, it was just a drop in the ocean. They could not win the war. But the sheer psychological terror they inflicted changed tank design forever. Today, only one Tiger tank in the world is still in running condition, Tiger 131, captured in Tunisia, sitting as a quiet reminder of a brutal past. If you enjoyed this journey into history, leave a like, hit subscribe, and comment down below. Which World War II tank should we cover next? Until next time.